Hey everyone, Justin Holland here with the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. Another action-packed show for this weekend. So if you're listening to us here on KTSA while you're scooting around town, welcome to the show. We're going to talk everything insurance. But before we do that, we're going to actually have some special guests that I'm going to introduce here in just a second. But as a reminder on everybody listening to the show, and by the way, you might not be even listening to our radio station here locally out of San Antonio with KTSA. You might be watching our podcast on YouTube. And that reminds me, I've got to make sure I plug that YouTube podcast real quick. YouTube.com/at Mad Insurance Show. Take a look at us online. You got any questions, want to see past episodes? That's where you can check us out. But as a reminder, the Mad Insurance Show is just a show that we created to provide awareness on health insurance, life insurance, auto and home, employee benefits. You name it. We are just trying to provide awareness, key breaking news articles that are coming out regarding the industry, and hopefully you find some value in what we're trying to bring to the weekly show. And we can't thank you enough for listening to us. So just as a reminder of the companies that we've got here in town, again, I'm Justin Holland. We've got Texas State Insurance Services, where we focus on individual health insurance, individual coverage, Medicare plans for seniors, as well as employee benefits for small, large, even medium-sized companies. And we can assist you that with Texas State Insurance Services. The phone number for that office line is 210-880-5316. And then if you're maybe needing help with life insurance, Social Security analysis, long-term care insurance, maybe that Social Security as it relates to retirement, as well as auto, home, umbrella, and commercial lines of insurance, Palmetto Life Group is our agency that's going to help you out with that. The phone number for Palmetto Life Group is 877-357-5316, or you can go to palmettolifegroup.com. So I wanted to make sure I got a quick intro lined up for the show. What I want to do is introduce right off the bat our nonprofit spotlight for this week's show. Very excited about this. So glad. It's actually her birthday today, so we're celebrating her birthday. I feel bad bringing her in on her birthday, but I think it's for a good cause, and she hasn't, walked out on us yet. So this is going to be a great interview with Chelsea Steele, CEO of ABC of the Southwest Texas. Now, I remember it as ABC, Any Baby Can,
Yep.
and we'll dive into that as well. Before Chelsea and I talk here in just a minute, I do want to let you know that I've also got another special guest, Chris Newberry, with the Brokerage Inc. And this is exciting because Chris and I are building up our relationship on the life insurance, long-term care planning side, and in some cases, retirement. And I asked Chris to join us on the show, really just to talk about those industries and some breaking news that I found out or pulled up regarding those industry topics. So you're going to have some great insight from Chris and I here a little bit later in the show. But back to Chelsea. Chelsea, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today on the show, last minute as well, and just coming in and talking about the nonprofit. I was actually at an event a few weekends ago where y'all were the benefactor of. That was the Fiesta on French event with Abe and Howie and those guys. Great people. We sponsored the medals there for Texas State Insurance Services. But I would love to get basically some background on you. Let's kick off the show. Who is Chelsea Steele? I know we talked about it in the lobby before the show, but let's get some insight on you specifically.
Okay. Well, I'll jump right in. So, born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, 44 years old as of today. So, don't judge me for the number.
Yay.
Yes. But I actually had an interesting, I think, line to get to CEO. I had done a lot of different jobs. My mother had always ingrained in me very, very young to take any sort of adventure that jumped my way, because if a door was opening, there was a reason I was meant to walk through it. And
Yeah.
so I didn't have a clear line to get to CEO. I had done a lot of for-profit jobs, and I was very, very successful. I think the real epiphany came for me when I was 40 years old. I was a vice president at a medical staffing company during COVID of all times. And I had gotten pregnant with my fourth child, my son. which I have to tell everyone, yes, 4 children, it's a lot, was not
You're just getting
planned.
warmed up, Chelsea. Come
Yes,
on.
I had an IUD, so it was an act of God, and I thought, well, this is a time to kind of reevaluate my life and where I want to go. And so I knew that I was really unsatisfied with my life. I'd spent so much time trying to get to the top, and I was like, I want to leave something better for my children. And I had this real just conversation with God about where to go. And I made the decision to go into nonprofit. Didn't know what to do, didn't know where I was going to land. And so at 40, I had my fourth child, went into nonprofit. Everybody says it was a midlife crisis. Probably, yes. But the best decision that I ever made. And so I had done some, 2 other jobs in nonprofits. And I thought, nonprofit, it's supposed to be the salt of the earth, the best people. And I just, for some reason, it wasn't sticking. I really felt like I was the black sheep. And I got the call to come on to ABC of Southwest Texas,
Okay.
not as CEO, as Chief Impact Officer. I had a conversation with my predecessor, Jenny Hickson, and I fell in love with her. And I thought, this is what I've been looking for, somebody who's smart and kind and who leads with kindness. And the mission is
You're in
amazing.
your tribe.
Yeah, yeah. And I started with ABC, met the staff within that week, and I thought, oh my gosh, I love my boss, but I'm marrying the staff. Like they were just amazing. And then I got the opportunity to be CEO a couple months later, and I feel like it really was a godsend because that there was a reason why everything else didn't work out. It was because I was called to be there. And I really do love my job. I don't just say that.
And that's
I love this.
important to have. If you got to have that conviction, that
Yes.
calling. I mean, if you're expected to lead, especially an organization like what you're doing with ABC, that's good to hear off
Yes.
of that. Just,
Yes, you have to be able to have that conviction and that passion. I mean, I even had a gentleman on LinkedIn say, "Can you stop posting all those videos asking for money?" And I thought, "I'm the CEO. You should want my face out there
yeah.
because if I'm talking about it and I believe in it, that there's something behind it." And so I put my money where my mouth is. I mean, I'm
You're
very
bringing up
involved.
I think a good point too, Chelsea. I mean, I think there's some people probably leading nonprofits that are just not happy or doing what
Yes.
they probably could or should do. I hate to say that, but I mean, just our conversation is making that a kind of reality for me and reminding me of that. Hey, and it's just like any job,
Yes.
or any workspace that you're at off of that. But you absolutely want it with the nonprofit.
I agree.
So very cool. So we kind of got a background and journey on where you're at with ABC.
Yeah.
Let's dive into, the mission, the history of the organization. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yes. So it started in 1982, my birth year, interesting enough.
How cool is
I
that?
know
That
all
worked
these
out.
wonderful little quitting kiddings. Marion Sokol actually started Any Baby Can. And I guess from the story that I've heard, she had been out in the community and realized that there was a need for families with children that had, special healthcare needs and disabilities. And she thought there needs to be a place for them to go. And she, I think, also had a conversation with God as well and was like, show me the path. And I think within that week, there was 300 something calls, families saying, I need help. And so she started Any Baby Can. It's had a lot of reiterations, a lot of changes, many programs that have come and gone.
Mhm.
So it's changed over the years. And I think as CEO, that's where I'm trying to insert myself and figure out what's changed. Why were those changes? What happened? What do we want to go back to? What do we want to honor? And how do I want to lead us moving forward? But it's an amazing organization, but a lot of people still don't know about us, which is interesting because we serve 17 counties. That's a
No kidding.
lot.
That is a lot of
It
area
is.
in the county area. And you're right. I just got introduced to y'all. I mean, it wasn't a few years ago, but probably about five
Yeah.
years ago is finally when we were doing a lot of events and marketing events. That's where I really kind of got introduced to the organization as well. And so 17 counties. Let's talk about that just for a minute so the audience knows, are we how far north of San Antonio, how far south? Can you kind of give me a demographic of that?
Well, normally, so our niche is going to be Bear County. So it's
Okay.
everything right around Bear County.
Everything that touches.
Yep. And what we're trying to do right now strategically is go out into those counties. We say we serve them, and we do, but do they know our name? Do they know Chelsea at ABC? Do they know Marissa and Desiree and Caitlin, all of our people? We want them to know us. And so over the next couple months, we're going to get out into those counties, meet with the commissioners, meet with the judges, meet with all the city council people, and make sure that they understand that we are a free resource to them. So I'm not sure how well they know ABC, but that's really our vision, is to get out there and to become deeply entrenched in those counties.
So we're talking about the reach of ABC, the demographic that you've got. Let's talk about the demographic of who you serve and
Yeah.
what you're doing for those individuals. Let's dive into that for a while.
Yeah. So our mission is to serve families with children that have special healthcare needs and disabilities. That largely looks like the Hispanic community is largely who we serve. And then about 30% of them are on Medicaid. So families that are highly dependent on Medicaid. And then there's families that don't have any insurance as well. So I like to say ABC is humanitarian at its roots.
Hmm.
We're going to help anyone who walks in the door. And that, I think, right now in this climate probably puts a target on our back, but we do. We want to help the children because they're the ones that are kind of stuck in the middle. They don't get to choose who their family
They
is.
didn't get to choose.
They don't get to choose where they're born, where they grow up, but we know that they need help. And so anybody that walks through that door, we are going to help them. Even if it's not something we do, we're going to connect them with resources or nonprofit to give them that help that they need.
Give us some examples of the help, like what y'all are doing for some of these families in those specific
Yeah.
situations.
So I love that we rebranded to ABC of Southwest Texas because I feel like it really um, talks about what we do. Before any baby can, people thought it was just babies. So
Yeah,
um,
I did. I mean,
yeah,
I,
and then so that's this is great because we're allowed to talk about the narrative of the change. So A, B, and C are our pillars. So A is our autism and all disabilities support program. So that looks like, let's say a mother gets a diagnosis and she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to even navigate life. So we have an education program built in that's free. So families can come, they can learn about disabilities, they can get help with toilet training. We have a whole fire safety program that was born out of a young child that passed away through a fire. So we have all of these resources that we can
okay.
help our families with. We also go out into the community. We educate firefighters, police cadets. Let's say you have a business and you're like, okay, I want to see how we can make our organization more friendly towards those that are on the spectrum. What can we do? There's a lot of different ways that we can help the community, but that's our education program.
You bring up, interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
The outreach to the first responders and the fire departments and the police officers. I've got a very close friend of mine. He's got a nonprofit specific for autism in Deep South Texas,
Yeah.
and they do events and training events for those officers when
Yes.
they might engage, an autistic adult or young adult or
Yeah.
child. And I mean, you just don't think about that, on how that
You don't.
interaction can go and be prepared for that.
Right? Absolutely. And knowledge we find is power. And so the more that we can educate the community about what that looks like and how we can respond, it changes the outcome of everyone's life. And so we're very passionate about the education piece. B is for bereavement. So this is kind of a program most people don't know about. So we help any family that's lost a child in those 17 counties. They don't have to be on the spectrum. They don't have to have a disability, but any sort of family that loses a child, we can help with funeral services, caskets,
Wow.
urns, cremations. And so it's a beautiful program that we offer, but it's really hard to get the narrative out there about it because a lot of people don't want to talk about it. There's a sense of shame that comes with, I lost my child and ABC had to help me. Now, years down the line, they're very, very thankful for it, but it's
Mhm.
very, very hard to kind of get people in the moment to talk a little bit about what we do. And we don't want to be on the news saying, hey, we covered this homicide. We don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
So,
get it. And Chris and I are going to talk about this this afternoon or on the rest of the show later. Life insurance. I mean, it costs money to
it
get us
does.
in the dirt, and it's whether it's a, you know, overweight middle-aged guy like myself or a child.
Yeah.
And you're already mourning your child, and now you gotta worry about on how to get them in the ground and give them a send off, and I
Yes.
can't imagine that, and that's why we're so adamant on life insurance.
Yes.
But a lot of people, I can't tell you, they just don't have it in place, and
Right.
and y'all coming in to fill in that for whatever reason that's the case is huge,
It is.
and take a huge weight off of their
So
shoulders.
expensive. You're looking at 3 to $10,000.
Oh, y'all are probably seeing those numbers right off the bat
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
It's so, so expensive. And then we also give grief counseling to the
Okay.
family as well. So, mom and dad, or whoever the caretakers are, they get to do free grief counseling. So, the mental health issue is really, really important.
That's great.
And they don't have to take it then. They can take it a year, 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes it takes years for people to be ready to be able to process or want to talk about that grief.
I think a lot of people hold stuff, and it's not just death; it's all kinds of things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we just, you just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's your kid having the blues at some point, or just you, just as an adult being overwhelmed. I think people don't. Man, just talk to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
And
sit
it's
down
there.
and visit.
We had a family who came in 20 years later and they said, "Okay, we're ready. Can we still get it?" And we're like, "Yes, of
Wow.
course. We're not gonna turn you away."
I can imagine I mean, and there's so many families out there that are just holding on to stuff, and they could, sit down
Holding
and
on
just
by
kind
a
of,
thread
oh yeah,
sometimes,
offer that. So A and B, and then we've got C.
It's case management. So that's our foundational program. So any family has a diagnosis or they suspect a diagnosis, they can reach out. Our case managers will kind of do a comprehensive intake with them, figure out what they need. Do they need, prescriptions? Do they need medical equipment? And then they help navigate with that family through the journey of getting all of those things that they need. And it may be 6 to 9 months and they don't need us anymore. But then they come back in a couple months or a year later, 2 years later, and they say, okay, now we need this. So that is sometimes it's short and sometimes it's long. It just depends on the family and their unique needs.
Yeah.
And what I love about ABC is we're not just treating the children and helping the child. That's our client. It's the whole family. The whole family gets seen as one because we know you can't just treat one aspect and not the rest. Every piece of the pie has to thrive. And so I love that unique perspective that we bring to the case management.
I'm sure you see some really tough situations out
Yes,
there in the community, and it sobers the attitude on what you guys are
it
doing out
does.
there. I
It
mean, and
does.
and 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 it's not just about the kids situation, it's those parents too. Sometimes those parents are just struggling, and you just it's maybe not they didn't get a fair shot. They're just down on their luck,
Yes.
I'm a big believer in nonprofits, and even state and federal situations where you come in here and you give them a leg up. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
It's one thing to keep on using it and out war, I guess, outlast your welcome there.
Hmm.
But at the same time, y'all are coming in and helping them in a vulnerable situation,
Yeah.
and really glad y'all are doing that
Thank you.
for the community. You gave me kind of an idea? Hey, you'll go into communities and talk to the political individuals or those that are running those communities, as well as the first responders. Can you give me a typical day or week on what that looks like for y'all's operation?
It's every week is different. That's the part that I love about my job because there is no you have an expectation and then you have a reality. And so I think what makes ABC unique is every day is different. So we have case managers who are going out, they're meeting with families, they may be doing virtual because they can't
That's
come.
right.
We have our education partners going out, they're working with corporations, organizations. I mean, it's like a little airport. Everybody's got their own little terminal and we're all doing our thing. And then I'm there as the CEO and it's like I'm the composer, the orchestrator, I'm making sure that we make our harmonious sound with everything that we're doing.
How many employees deep are y'all
So
for locally?
we're 22,
Okay.
which we do about $2.5 million a year. 22, I feel like is a really solid team, and they are salt of the earth, good, passionate, amazing people.
I'm assuming there's been some people there for years that have
Yes,
okay that have been a
yes,
part of that.
yeah.
Very cool. Um, Biggest challenges for
Oh,
ABC, and we had a nonprofit. Obviously, we're gonna have a nonprofit on here every week. But I mean, when we've got political and financial environments like what we've got right now,
Yep.
and I think it could be worse. But at the same time, it's really tough for a lot of people. What are the challenges that you guys are facing right now as
Yeah.
we look at it?
I think, again, any nonprofit in San Antonio or in the US that you bring in, they're going to talk about funding. So, just to give you a little perspective, if 2 years ago I'm sitting here and I was, in development fundraising and I was sitting there and I was talking about kind of forecasting, our money and our cash flow, I could say, "Oh, I know we're going to get this grant. I know we're going to get this." That was part of my job, was to be able to forecast. We are in such a different world right now, a different landscape, that all bets are off the table. We've had funders who've been funding us for years say, "We couldn't fund you this year, and we love you. We are so, so sorry." And I have to say, "Okay, I have to believe that if you're not funding us, that somebody needed it so much more, because it is just such a weird climate." And so, all bets are off the table, and it is a very, very competitive landscape for
Oh, the
grants.
headwinds that are facing the companies that are helping with that giving for these nonprofits, and it's trickling down obviously
Yes.
off of that as well.
Yes, and when you have, a landscape where groceries are higher, gas is higher, the people that used to give can't give anymore. They have to now say, "Okay, I was giving $25, now I gotta save that money," or, "I don't wanna spend that money because I don't know what's gonna happen in the next couple months." So I would rather make sure my family's good than, give it to ABC, which I understand. We gotta take care of our families first, but it's a hard bucket to be in for sure.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up, and we got a few more questions and we'll wrap up. But just as a reminder to the audience, this is Justin Holland with the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. We're visiting with Chelsea Steele, CEO of ABC of the Southwest Texas, and we're talking about their nonprofit highlight, and that's the spotlight that we're doing right now. But we're going to wrap up with a few more questions with Chelsea. And by the way, reach out to us. We're going to talk about their contact information as we close out this segment of the show, just in case you want more information on ABC. But I'm an insurance professional. The show is driven on insurance. What's your firsthand view of the lack of people having the protection in place? Obviously, you're helping people out that didn't have that protection.
Right.
You're seeing families and these crises that they've got, and the impact of underinsurance or underinserving. I mean, Medicaid, you brought up a minute ago. Medicaid is not expanded to adults. You have to be an elderly adult, become a ward of the state, or a child or pregnant woman.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you can give me a little insight as an insurance professional. Like, yeah, Justin, there's just not enough awareness. I'm curious your take on that.
No, I think you're right. There's not enough awareness. And I think there's also misguided ideas about Medicaid. People think Medicaid pays for everything, covers everything. And it's like, no, it doesn't. There's a lot of things that Medicaid doesn't cover. I mean, we have a child who, let's say they're born with a lopsided head and they need a cranial helmet. It's not always covered. A lot of
Yeah.
those things are seen as cosmetic. And I'm like, these are basic needs. And so I think that's where the problem is educating our society about Medicaid is not the catch-all end-all of everything. And sometimes people who do have insurance, they still are not getting the help that they need. There's long wait times. There's wait lists. There's so many different variables that are impacting people
Appeals
right now.
processes like
Yes.
medication or surgery, stuff like that. No, we're needing. It's a little chaos, a little bit of chaos in our
Yes.
industry. So that's some great insight. I mean, I didn't think of the helmet
Yeah.
for those kids,
It's so
and I
sad.
mean it is sad. But you guys are helping fill that void. That's why we want to get some awareness for you
Thank
guys.
you.
Success stories, community impact. Can you kind of give us a brief example of that?
Yeah. So just talking about the cranial helmet. So interesting enough, we were just recently in front of a funder and we were asking for what we call crisis funding. So that's money that we put aside to help with cranial helmets, help with anything a family needs that's not covered by insurance. It could be even food, electricity, money for electricity bills. And so they were like, "Well, tell us a little bit more about the cranial helmets." And it's like, this one aspect changes the trajectory of a child's life. So We have a young child that I always love to talk about. He was 3 years old, and he basically laid on the floor because his head was lopsided, and the family needed a cranial helmet. Insurance denied it. It was seen as cosmetic. They could have said, "Okay," and accepted that, but they didn't. They were like, "No, we're gonna find this cranial helmet." They came into ABC Services. We fought for them. We got them a cranial helmet. Within a couple months, that child was pulling themselves up.
Oh, wow.
Fast forward, they're walking, they're moving. 15 years later, this child is now a teenager who's working, who's able to eat. I mean, just from this head being lopsided, all of these other issues were impacting them. Now they're part of society, living, breathing, happy, productive. But so much was an obstacle for those parents where they could have easily given up and said, "Okay, I'm just going to accept what life has thrown at me." And he's going to lay on the floor for the rest of his life.
You were able to pivot that quality of life situation
Yeah,
for that kid for the long haul.
it's
And
amazing.
and not to go in too deep in the woods, and we'll wrap up right now, Chelsea, but you never know who you're helping and giving them a shot that's going to pay it forward or what they're going to do for the community. I think and, this goes for anywhere on the planet. I just think there's some people that could have provided so much value to us, and they just didn't get that shot. So we
Yeah,
just need to think about that. And you never know what people are going through with these situations that you're seeing every day.
agreed.
Let's wrap up with this. How can the community help? Give us some insight on how they can, find details about y'all, phone numbers, websites. If y'all have any events that we need to recognize and make sure people are aware of. Let's talk about how we can rally the community. That's the whole reason why we've got you on the show.
Thank you.
Um, Give us some insight and some direction on that.
Yeah. I think obviously money and donations are great. What we want are people who are engaged, who are passionate about the mission. The biggest resource right now is volunteering. If you're able to volunteer, they say it saves about $31 an hour
Really?
for every hour somebody volunteers. That's huge for a nonprofit.
Wow.
We would love for people to volunteer. We have a lot of events that are wonderful. Our gala's coming up September 26th. All of that money goes towards our programs. I want to say actually it's 89 cents per dollar that we raise
Oh,
goes
wow.
straight to our programs. And we're really proud about that because a lot of nonprofits can't say that. And we have our golf October 27th. So if those are events that you're passionate about, great. We'd love to have you. But volunteering,
Okay, cool.
that's such a precious resource that we would love. Come in our doors, see what we do, help us help other people. And I will tell you, you will be exponentially changed when you see what we do.
I'm so glad you put a dollar amount on that because I don't think enough people. I mean, once you put a dollar amount on it, you can say, okay, you have enough people, contribute that, whether it
Yeah,
be an afternoon or a day or consistently. Man, that adds up
it does
significantly
so
off of
much
that.
because people sometimes are like, well, I can't afford $25, but can I give an hour of my time? Sure, you can.
How does everybody reach out to you? Give us the website, phone numbers, any specific contacts, social media handles. Can you give us that, and we'll
Yeah.
wrap up.
So our website is abcofswtx.org. There's information there. I'm always happy to give my cell phone on air because I'm that crazy type of person who will pick up
Welcome
the
to the
phone.
club.
Um, there's also my email. It's csteele at abcsa.org. I had to think about it there for a second, but you're going to find we're really responsive. Sometimes you send an email to someone and nobody responds for a week. We're going to respond probably that day because I mean, we are just passionate about what we do. And if you show any just an inkling of passion, we're going to jump on it. We want you to be part of our family.
We'll in our link for the show online, we'll have links to you guys and those events. I'll see what we can try to do to maybe attend and even try to rally some people for the donation of time as well. Chelsea, I cannot thank you enough for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
I know we reached out to you last week and you're like, hey, yeah, I think I can make that work. So glad you joined us, Chris and I today, and brought the awareness for ABC of Southwest Texas. And guys, if you've got any questions, reach out to them. You'll see the links on our social media online if you're watching this online, or just give us a call at one of the agencies, and we'll be happy to tee you up, so to speak, to their nonprofit. So thank you again, Chelsea, for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey everyone, Justin Holland with the Mad Insurance Show. Welcome back for our next segment. And we just wrapped up with Chelsea Steele of ABC of the Southwest Texas and talked about that nonprofit. Great insight on that. Again, if you missed that show, go to our YouTube channel to see the clips and the online. You can probably go to our social media handles as well. But youtube.com/ at Mad Insurance Show to take a look at the details regarding ABC and their nonprofit here. Very glad Chelsea was able to join us for that. The next segment is basically like we've done on every other show is we're going to talk industry topics. And I've got another guest for us. This is a very valued partner that I've got with the Brokerage Inc. Ever since I got into this business, let's call it 13 plus years ago, I've been aligned with the Brokerage Inc. more on the health insurance side, but we finally are in alignment to where we can do some things on the life insurance, long-term care, retirement scenarios as well. And I've got Chris Newberry of the Brokerage Inc. that's joining me. Chris, I cannot thank you enough for making it to the show. I think we're going to have some good insight, a little good little banter, and I want to talk about you. Let's get some background on the Brokerage Inc. But before we even talk about the Brokerage Inc., Chris, industry, what have you been doing for prior to joining the brokerage? Give us some insight on your career path in this industry, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Justin. It's great to be here, and my path is a lot like a lot of people's. Is that I'm multi-generational in the insurance business. I'm third generation, native Dallasite. My grandfather, my dad was in the business. I started out as an agency owner and was in personal production for a number of years. I had a good friend of mine said there's an insurance company that's looking for a management position for you to go out and talk to other people about this carrier. So I jumped on it and was the majority of my career doing that, a couple of different carriers. And I went all over the country helping them to sell life insurance. And then it took me till about 5 years ago, the brokerage was a customer of mine and they were best in class. I've seen, operations all over the country. They just do it great. They care about their producers. They care about people. They care about what they're doing. It was a great fit for me. Honestly, I wanted to come in off the road. I was in a hotel room most nights and, you see what it does to you. It's awful.
I'm in the same boat. Trust me.
So it's just great to be off the road, not traveling quite as much with a great group. This is my 40th year in the insurance business. So, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Like Chelsea, you're just getting warmed up.
Right. Exactly right.
Well, cool. And the Brokerage Inc., 50 years old. Y'all had a great celebration last week. I asked you about that in the lobby before the show. That's important to know when and I think something that we need to stress when we talk about the Brokerage Inc., because there could be other agents and agencies, looking for alignment and y'all could be a fit for them. Let us know. We'd love to get you dialed in with them. But 50 years privately held, when we're in a day and age where you've got so many businesses getting bought out by private equity and getting gobbled up, I think that's important to boot, that you got a family that loves what they're doing and wants to continue backing up agencies and brokerages like ourselves.
Boy, you're right. I mean, 50 years is a milestone. Our founder still comes into the office every day. And when you say independent, you're not kidding. I'd put that as fiercely independent. They love their independence. They don't want, a money manager, a venture fund telling them how to run their business. So they really love what they do. And we've become a leader in Medicare, in health insurance and in life insurance. So we do all of it really. And so we're a great, great resource for agents and agencies.
The fact that y'all, I mean, you've got that independence with the Brokerage Inc. I think that's a breath of fresh air to the carriers as well. I think they like that relationship that you get to build with them as well, versus the tail wagging the dog, so to speak, from the insurance brokers telling the carriers what to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I think us as agencies and brokers out there provide valuable insight that can be cutting edge for future projects off of that. But man, just we're so thankful for the relationship that we have with y'all, and just I think the future looks bright on what we're trying to grow together with you guys. So the relationship between the brokerage and basically the agency or owner. Let's just give a little bit of background there, and then we're going to dive into some of our articles that we want to discuss and talk about. But y'all are considered an IMO or
Yep.
F
hmm
on the insurance side.
Independent marketing organization.
Okay.
And that means that we don't just represent one carrier, we represent a lot of different insurance carriers. And as you well know, they all have different products. They're changing the pricing always.
hmm
They all have different niches that they go in and out of. And that's our job to help agents and agencies find the best fit for their product. So we keep up, we have technology, quote engines that the rates change daily, weekly, sometimes with annuities, they change all the time, and we keep up with that for you so you don't have to. So instead of just having one carrier, I think about the car industry. If you walked into a Chevy dealership and wanted to get a Chevy, that's great. But if you said, "Gosh, I'd like to look around and maybe look at a Toyota or a Ford or a Honda," uh, that Chevy guy's not going to let you leave there. He wants you to do a Chevy.
Yeah, the tools and the backup y'all give us to provide the assistance to our clients that are listening here today, and hopefully future clients, is just second to none. And that technology piece, and we're utilizing a lot of your technology on the health insurance side. So excited about what I mean, just before we started talking for the show, you kind of teased me with some stuff that we've got coming down that's
Yeah.
really going to help and assist our clients to get them protected and get them protected quickly.
Yeah.
And that's you never know when that accident's going to come up, and you might need your insurance to back you
Absolutely.
up. Something let's talk about is, and we'll kick off, is industry news.
Yes.
Okay. And a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about, just because there's so much noise out there, has been health insurance. But I brought up some articles that I think you and I could kind of resonate on, and we're going to discuss this one. This was an article that I found. Let's see here. Who really needs life insurance in your household? The answer might surprise you.
hmm
And this was an article. God, I don't even have it listed here. I got to double check that. I'm sorry. It was the Everly Life Press News, May 8th, 2026. So it was a few days ago. The discussion was most families assume only the primary breadwinner needs life insurance coverage.
Mm.
But this overlooks the enormous financial value of a stay at home parent or a caregiver. It's not just taking care of the kids. We've got that sandwich generation that's going to have to take care of their parents and their kids in some cases, even adult children. Estimated at over $54,000 annually in unpaid labor. That
Yeah.
was a sobering statistic. I'll wrap up with this, and then, Chris, I want you to chime in. Research shows roughly that 60 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. And what should families actually evaluate when making the coverage decisions? Financial obligations, income replacement, child care costs, and the future goals of the family, whatever that could be. And these families need to bridge the gap on that exposure off of that. But I don't think people realize. We just think of a sole person in the family. There could be other members in that family, and not only that, just the other spouse. It could be an older adult that's taking care of a loved one or a grandparent or something like that. Let's dive into that. I think that's
Yeah.
overlooked.
Wow. Boy, that's so true. And again, I was thinking about my situation earlier. I told you I was all over the country. My wife raised our sons. We were lucky enough to have her be a stay at home mom. But if something were to have happened to her and I would have to come in off the road, our lives would be changed. Our spouses need that coverage. That stay at home spouse needs to have a big hunk of insurance. And you mentioned $54,000 a year. And, just think about, if you got two kids that are, 3 years old, they're going to be, dependents of yours for at least the next 15 or so years. Half a million, three quarters of a million, $1 million is not unheard of that you need on that at-home spouse, really.
You diving in on your wife taking care of the kids. The same situation. My dad, was out working the business, and my mom took really good care of us. But we've also seen a dynamic change in the household. You've got to have both family members a lot of times working just
Yes.
to cover the groceries, to cover the bills, to cover additional child care,
Yeah.
all of that as well. And I think. Again, if you have a spouse taking care of the children, okay, that's one facet of that. But there's so much more expenses to consider to where you've got both family members, working trying to provide that family.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You and I have been doing this a while. I mean, we've seen the fact finders. Some are multi-page fact finders. The more information you can get on a family, the better job we can do of helping, with what needs that they might have. But a quick one is, just ask somebody to add up everything. If you could write a check to pay off everything they owe, how big would that check have to be? House, cars, uh,
Just the
credit
debt,
card debt, yeah, and a college fund. I mean, you want to think about that too. I mean, education.
student loans,
Oh man,
that's
yeah,
those don't go away. That
they do
follows you.
not. They
So
do
that's
not.
another aspect of God forbid something happens to you, whether you're a professional or just got, a little bit of education but finance that, that's another aspect I think that it gets overlooked
Yeah.
in
Oh
in the
yeah.
life insurance assessment.
And then you add to that, some multiple of income, that $54,000 or whatever, a number that they feel comfortable with. They need that.
No question, there's value in life insurance. If you're needing assistance with life insurance, let us know. You can reach out to us at Palmetto Life Group. Palmetto Life Group, remember, is our agency that we focus on individual life insurance, group benefits if need be for those life insurance scenarios, but also long term care, social security analysis as it relates to your retirement, as well as the auto, home, and commercial lines of business. But if you got questions on that or need a quick quote, 877-357-5316 or visit us online at palmettolifegroup.com. Chris, the other article that I wanted us to review and discuss is this Savers Match program. Okay.
Mm.
A new federal retirement benefit coming in 2027. And I saw an update on this last week. I haven't really dug into it too much, but I thought it was worth us discussing. The source on this article that I found was from The Hill because it's related to the Secure 2.0 Act coverage from May of 26.
Hmm.
The discussion under the Secure Act is basically begin this is all going to take place to kick off 2027. The federal government will replace the old Savers credit with a direct Savers match. Okay, so instead of getting a credit offset on your tax, this is actually money getting dumped into retirement accounts for individuals that qualify. And
Right.
that quote unquote, you have to qualify.
Yep.
And what we're looking at is $1,000 per individual, $2,000 for married couples. It's straight into a qualifying retirement account, and roughly 69 million Americans may be eligible for this credit, which is huge, a lot of money. Um, Again, I don't know where that money is going to come from, but that's a whole other topic. With income thresholds of 35,500 for single, $71,000 for family. Something that I wanted to chime in on that is a lot of times are like, if you're self-employed, after your adjusted gross income is calculated, you could meet those parameters, single or married, if you
Right.
think about it. So I think if you're listening to this, let us know. We'd love to talk about your retirement strategy because you could very well qualify for some extra money year after year because of
Yeah.
this act. They're basically leveraging it. Big surprise. The Trump IRA.gov platform and the whole product and detail on that, you know, we do a lot of insurance. We do whole life and index universal life and annuities and all these products. We help out companies with group 401ks. This is big news
It
about
is big
saving and
news.
preparing for that.
Absolutely, it's big news. And, I think the big news really is uh, the government acknowledges that none of us are saving enough for retirement as a country. Maybe you've got a 401k or a qualified plan at your employer. Most people are not contributing near what they could to
No
that.
question.
It's not enough. And better than anybody, Social Security, if that's all you're counting on for retirement, uh,
It's
man,
not looking good.
it's not looking that's yeah, that's a soft sell on it. Yeah, because it's really I'm concerned.
I think the Social Security, and I'm dive into a lot of this because of our Medicare clients, where we do Social Security analysis
Yeah.
for. Um, you know, if you asked me this a year ago, it's like, hey, you know what? The money's going to be there. It's a pay as you go system. It's not like you're not going to have a Social Security retirement. It's just going to be maybe less, or
Right.
could. And I had an article a few weeks ago that was talking about the $8,000, $10,000 shortfalls that the consumer could hit into 2032 or something like that. That's real money. That's a huge problem and could catch people sleeping that are already retired
Yeah.
off of that as well. And again, I not trying to scare individuals listening to the show either online or over the radio, but I'm trying to scare you a little bit because I think we've got a problem, and that's just the retirement funds to cover your daily living of maybe it's a rent or an auto payment, your food, just well being, going out to the movies. That doesn't even include another topic we're going to talk about, long term care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I see a storm coming, and I want to make sure we try to help protect and leverage that with so many people out there.
What you and I do is put up those safety nets, those guardrails that people need. And insurance is a big part of that. Life insurance, long term care, maybe disability. I mean, there's all sorts of opportunities. But, you mentioned too, permanent life insurance, whether that's whole life or index life or universal life. That's an asset class.
Hmm.
That is a great product to supplement your retirement. The money that goes into that cash value accumulation grows tax free for somebody.
Correct.
And they have tax advantage ways of taking that money out when they need it. And there's no
You
regulations like
take it
on it.
out tax free as
That's
well.
exactly right. And there's none of these government regulations that you've got to fall through. Can you take it out at this age without a penalty? How am I going to be taxed on this? There's so many guidelines that you don't have to worry about, and it's self-completing. So if you got a great investment, if you were to die, your beneficiaries aren't going to get your investment.
Hmm.
They're not going to get a death benefit if you become disabled. And these are self-completing. They can put a long-term care rider on there, a critical illness rider to take care of that in case something happens. So life insurance seems to meet a multitude of needs that other retirement plans don't have.
And I think a lot of people don't realize what they could actually qualify for, or
Mhm.
it's time to take a look at the current life insurance you have in place.
Yeah.
I just had and it's something you and I, Chris, will have to talk about. I had a client call in or message last night. Their 20-year term is coming up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was like a $3 million policy for them, and we might not need to do 3 million because they're 20 years older. It's going to be much more expensive. But I kind of look at it as the cell phone. Okay. I don't see anybody using those Nokias anymore, but
Right.
people are using those Nokia phones, or a life insurance that's similar to that Nokia phone from the early 2000s. And they should have a more modern life insurance strategy in place
Boy,
with
you're
your
right.
iPhone or Galaxy, whatever you use. Does that make sense, I guess?
You're exactly right. Well, the path to buying life insurance. You buy a policy. You maybe brought it from your brother-in-law who's, no longer in the business or whoever. That policy almost always goes straight to that desk drawer
Yeah.
and it gathers dust and you pull it out in 20 years when you see a big increase and you say, oh my goodness, I should have addressed this. My beneficiary is all wrong. There's so many things
That's a
that need
great
to be
point on the
reviewed,
beneficiary. No,
and so
just to
it's,
adjust that. I think if you're listening to us on the show, man, reach out to us for a life insurance review. Doesn't hurt. We can very quickly get some numbers put together for you, assess the risk and underwriting up as well, and kind of give you an idea on where that could work for you. And the life insurance isn't about dying anymore. It's about living in most cases. we are going to live longer lives. The statistics are there. We're not necessarily living healthier lives. And life insurance can have what's called a living benefit, which is similar to those long-term care situations that you could engage. And you need to make sure your policy possibly has that, or if you could qualify for that in a new policy. And you can reach out to us at Palmetto Life Group for those quotes, 877-357-5316 or palmettolifegroup.com. We're talking about the Trump IRA, and if more people need information on that, they can reach out to us. We talked about the importance of life insurance for those key individuals within the
Yep.
family, not just breadwinning, it could be caretaking. Let's segue into a couple articles and then we'll wrap up the show. Long-term care.
Mhm.
You talked about Japan, a little while ago. They are having a epidemic. Is it epidemic or pandemic? Epidemic, I think, is where they've got this aging population,
Yeah.
and I think we're going to have that same issue here in the United States with a booming population on needing those long term care needs. And $10,000 a month for long term care is now typical off of that.
Yeah.
What that means for a family finances. This source is from Investopedia, April May issue of 2026. The discussion is American Council of Aging reports that nursing home care now averages around $10,000 per month. This was shocking
Yeah.
because I'd say 5 to 8, but we're in the $10,000 mark. That's a lot of money, and just for have well-being of this, from 9810 for a shared room to 11,250 for a private room annually. Medicare only covers the first 20 days at 100%, then requires $217 a day.
Yeah.
And we're just talking the medical side off of that. Let's talk about what options exist, either with standalone long-term care or the hybrids with the life insurance. But this is important, and I think I'll bring up one more thing in this. And Chris, I want you to take the floor. Long-term care costs are hollowing out the generational wealth as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just that cost, but it's that legacy. I'd love your input on that so we can educate the audience on that.
Yeah, this is, you keeping on your Asian theme. Many people call this the silver tsunami,
Yeah.
and that's this. Everybody's aging in, and they don't have the resources to take care of it. And my own personal situation. I had a healthy father at 84 years old. He was driving on a Saturday night. Sunday, he went down, and he never drove again. He never went to the office again. And the care, my mother is in her 80s. She wasn't able to take care of a big old husband, so it fell on me and my sister to do a lot of the work. And until his long-term care policy kicked in. That's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask of a spouse. It's a lot to ask of kids. But those folks need care, and that may not. It could happen in less than 24 hours, and so it's important to have that, and it can bankrupt a family. Not only money, but the toll that it takes emotionally
Oh yeah,
on
physically
a
and
family.
emotionally of that family.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. So there are opportunities to address that. That's where long-term care coverage comes in. There are long-term care riders that you can attach to a life insurance policy, but there's still traditional long-term care policies and this new breed of long-term care called hybrid plans. And they're either a long-term care policy that's has a life insurance benefit or maybe an annuity benefit, and they address multiple needs. So it's not like the old traditional long-term care of a use it or lose it. You're
Yeah.
going to get something out of this. And the other thing is that it levels out that pricing because traditional long-term care could and did increase in premiums. Now they've melded that out so that it does not
It's
increase.
definitely helped it stable out.
Yeah.
The Chris, I think we've got our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
And I cannot thank you and the brokerage for the backup, and y'all have been great on our health insurance side. Everyone listening to the show, We've got some really cool stuff that Chris is at the Brokerage Inc. is providing us for the life insurance, the long term care, and those rollover opportunities to help you possibly tackle both that we really need to look into. And again, we can help y'all size those up very quickly. Chris, any way we can get in contact with you if maybe there's an agent or somebody has some questions, just your contact information with the Brokerage Inc.
Yeah, we are nationwide, so we're all over the country. We're based in the DFW area. We've got a great office here in the San Antonio area. But my direct number is 469-750-0075. And if I'm not in the office, it rings through to my cell, so you
Very
can find
cool.
me.
Well, Chris, I cannot thank you enough for joining us on the show. I think we talked about some great topics online. Everybody, you've been listening to the Mad Insurance Show, Making a Difference in Insurance. Had Chelsea Steele of ABC of Southwest Texas regarding their nonprofit. Chris Newberry with the Brokerage Inc. and I have been discussing life insurance, long-term care, Trump IRAs, just trying to tease y'all out in the radio show or online about some stuff that you need to have on your radar and talk to somebody. And we're here to help you with that. As always, Texas State Insurance Services for your insurance needs on health insurance, Medicare, individual health, 210-880-5316, or Palmetto Life Group for the life insurance, the long-term care, Social Security analysis, and retirement, as well as auto, home, and commercial lines of coverage. That's going to be 877-357-5316. Chris, thank you again
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We'll see you again soon. And everybody, have a great day out there. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.